Welcome to the Morning Walk with Murty Digital Stroll.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, so, there is this incredibly seductive fantasy in the tech world right now, and I bet you, listening right now, have felt the pull of it yourself at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this dream that you can, sever your reliance on those massive, expensive cloud companies, just download a magical piece of software, and suddenly you're running your own private, cutting-edge artificial intelligence.
Right. Completely for free.
Exactly. Free, offline, sitting right there on your desk.
It is a really powerful vision. I mean, the idea of true digital sovereignty, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, what happens when that soaring, futuristic ambition kind of collides with the gravity of actual physical hardware?
Yeah, especially when that hardware is like a decade-old plastic laptop just gasping for air.
Exactly. That collision is where things get really messy.
And that is exactly what we are exploring today in this Gurukul session. I was recently reading this fascinating Write.as post. It was documenting a conversation from July 30th, 2026 between Murty and Claude, and it really served as a fellow traveler spark for me.
It's a fantastic spark, honestly. It really sets the stage perfectly for what we need to unpack.
Right. It lit up the path for us. And we are going to look at this whole scenario through the digital prism because, our goal isn't just to sit here and review software specs or read a manual. We are here to extract the actual legacy code from Project Antaryami.
Which is vital. We want the architectural principles that will outlast any specific gadget or trend.
Yes, sustainable tech. You have to look past the shiny features and examine the structural integrity underneath.
Completely agree.
So the person navigating this incredible tension that we're talking about is Lead Architect Murty BVNS.
Right.
Now, the architect is trying to solve a very real infrastructure problem for a virtual assistant, or VA, business.
They need to equip a team of VAs with tools that actually make them highly efficient.
Exactly. And initially, Murty's attention is captured by this Linux distribution called Shadowfetch. And, on paper, it sounds like the absolute holy grail.
It really does. And to understand why it's so tempting, we kind of need to quickly look at how Linux usually works versus what Shadowfetch is attempting to do.
Sure.
Traditionally, Linux has this reputation, sometimes earned, sometimes not, to be fair, for being a highly technical, command line-driven environment.
Like green text on a black screen, hackers in movies kind of vibe.
Right, exactly. But Shadowfetch tries to completely eliminate that friction. It's built with the KDE Plasma desktop environment.
Which means what exactly for a normal user?
It means it has window animations, a taskbar, graphical menus. It basically looks and feels like a premium modern computer interface.
Oh, I see. So a VA who has, only ever used Windows or maybe Mac OS could sit down, use a mouse, click some icons, and not feel completely lost.
Exactly. The transition is smooth, but the actual killer feature here isn't just the pretty interface. It's how it approaches AI.
Right, the AI integration.
Yeah. Right now, if a VA business wants to use AI to, say, summarize a client's inbox or draft routine emails, they're likely hooking into an API from a major provider.
And every single time you hit send on a prompt, a tiny meter is running.
Yes. Every word, every token costs a fraction of a cent.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's scale. Across a whole team of VAs working 8 hours a day, that cloud AI bill becomes this massive, unpredictable monthly expense.
It eats directly into the profit margins of the business. It's a huge pain point. But Shadowfetch promises to bypass that meter entirely.
Because it includes a built-in graphical setup wizard, right, that automatically provisions local AI.
Right. And the way this wizard works under the hood is what makes it so incredibly appealing to someone deploying a whole fleet of computers.
It isn't just dumping a random AI model onto the hard drive and hoping for the best.
No, not at all. It runs a diagnostic script. It actually checks the specific processor. It measures the system memory. It checks if there's a dedicated graphics card with its own VRAM. Yeah, and then it cross-references that exact hardware profile against a massive database of AI models.
So it automatically downloads the absolute best, most optimized version of an AI that your specific machine can actually handle.
Exactly. No manual configuration.
Yeah.
The VA just opens an app and starts typing.
It's like having an AI sommelier.
A what?
AI sommelier. Like, it looks at your computer's hardware pantry and automatically pours the perfect vintage of an AI model for your specific system.
That is a great analogy. Yes, the friction of adoption practically vanishes. You have a localized, private AI generating text with zero recurring subscription costs.
And zero per token API fees.
Exactly.
Okay, but I have to stop and ask the obvious question here because I'm sure you listening are wondering the same thing. I look at the billions of dollars being poured into these massive data centers to train and run premium cloud models.
Right.
If a free wizard on a laptop can just run AI locally, what are those massive cloud models actually doing? Like, what is the catch here? These local models can't possibly be as smart, can they?
They absolutely are not. And that is a crucial distinction we have to make.
Oh.
We are talking about the difference in parameters, the neural connections the model uses to reason.
Right.
A top-tier cloud model might have hundreds of billions or even over 1 trillion parameters. It requires literal server farms just to hold its brain and memory.
That's massive.
It is. But a local model that can run on a consumer laptop, it's heavily compressed or quantized is the technical term. It's usually operating with maybe 7 or 8 billion parameters.
So it's essentially the difference between hiring a senior consultant who has 30 years of global industry experience versus hiring an incredibly fast, eager college intern.
That is a very accurate way to think about it.
Wow.
Yeah, if you need an AI to untangle a complex, multi-layered strategic problem or generate a highly nuanced client-facing white paper, the local model will just hallucinate, or it'll lose the plot entirely.
Because it doesn't have the desk space in its brain to hold all that context.
Precisely. But if a VA just needs to, say, reformat a list of raw notes into a coherent email,
Or quickly extract the action items from a transcript.
right. For that, the local model is more than capable.
And you definitely don't want to pay consultant rates for intern-level grunt work.
Exactly. It's about matching the tool to the task.
That makes total sense. So the dream is to have these free AI interns sitting on every VA's desktop, drastically lowering the operating costs of the business.
Yes.
But this brings us to the plot twist, the brick wall that this dream crashes into.
The hardware reality check?
Yes, because Lead Architect Murty BVNS reveals what hardware these VAs are actually using right now. And they aren't on modern workstations.
No, they're not.
They are operating on decade-old, low-end machines running Windows 7, where the grand total is 2 gigabytes of RAM.
2 gigabytes. I mean, when you hear that number in the context of modern computing, let alone artificial intelligence, the entire strategic landscape instantly changes.
Right, because earlier we talked about the local AI needing desk space in its brain. Let's actually talk about how RAM functions mechanically.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because I think a lot of people just view RAM as a generic speed number on a spec sheet. But it's not speed, it's physical workspace, right?
Exactly. Think of your computer's hard drive as a massive filing cabinet in the corner of the room. It holds everything, but retrieving things takes time.
Okay.
Random access memory, or RAM, is the physical desk you are sitting at. When you open a program, the computer takes the files from the cabinet and spreads them out on your desk so you can actively work with them.
So if a premium cloud AI needs a giant 100-foot boardroom table to lay out all of its reasoning and context,
Right.
and a decent modern laptop with 16 gigabytes of RAM is like a standard, solid office desk,
Right.
what is a 2 gigabyte Windows 7 machine?
2 gigabytes is an airplane tray table.
An airplane tray table? Oh my gosh.
Yep.
You can maybe put a small book and a drink on it. But if you try to unfold a giant map, everything just falls onto the floor.
Precisely. And the computer dropping things on the floor is what you experience as the system freezing, crashing, or aggressively writing to the hard drive, which just grinds everything to an absolute halt.
Right. So Shadowfetch, just to boot up that pretty KDE plasma graphical interface we discussed earlier.
It requires about 4 gigabytes of RAM just to function smoothly.
Just to draw the windows on the screen.
Yes.
We haven't even whispered the letters A and I yet.
Right. The operating system itself is too big for the tray table.
Wow.
And if you want to run a local AI model, even the most highly compressed, bare-bones intern models require at least 8 gigabytes just to load their weights into memory. And realistically, you want 16 gigabytes or more.
So trying to run this on 2 gigabyte is just structurally impossible. It defies the physics of the hardware.
It's like trying to install a jet engine on a paper airplane.
A jet engine on a paper airplane. Perfect. So what do? The VAs need to work today. Project Antaryami has to move forward. You have a fleet of airplane tray tables. What is the immediate survival strategy if Shadowfetch is completely off the table?
You have to ruthlessly match the software to the hardware reality. You abandon the AI ambition entirely for these specific machines.
For now, at least.
Right, for now. The immediate goal is basic operational continuity. They need to migrate to incredibly lightweight Linux distributions.
Like what?
Well, the architect mentions options like Ubuntu, Linux Mint XI, or even Anti-X for the most desperate, absolute oldest hardware.
Who do those actually solve the tray table problem, though? What makes them different from a modern Windows setup or Shadowfetch?
It comes down to the desktop environment, the way the system draws the interface.
Okay.
Something like Linux Mint X doesn't use heavy graphics compositors. It doesn't have transparency effects. It doesn't have a bunch of background indexing services constantly searching your files.
It's bare bones.
Exactly. It essentially strips away everything except the absolute bare minimum required to draw a simple window on a screen and manage your files.
So it basically clears the tray table. It leaves just enough room for the VA to open a lightweight web browser, use a basic offline email client, and actually send their work to the project head without the machine locking up.
Exactly. It extends the lifespan of that hardware by a year or two. It's tactical survival.
But, as the architect recognizes, it is not a long-term strategy for a growing business.
No, definitely not.
Which brings us to the future. Lead Architect Murty BVNS is actively planning the next phase, which involves purchasing refurbished laptops equipped with 16 gigabytes of RAM.
A huge upgrade.
Right. Now, my immediate thought here was, fantastic. We upgraded from the tray table to the full office desk. Now we can finally install Shadowfetch and get our free AI intern.
That's the natural conclusion, yeah.
But the architect pulls back. They realize something deeply problematic about this setup.
Because Murty understands the difference between software designed for hobbyist tinkering and software designed for true enterprise stability.
Right.
And Shadowfetch, despite its brilliant setup wizard, rests on a very precarious foundation.
Let's unpack that, because this is where the real architectural wisdom starts to reveal itself.
Okay.
Shadowfetch is built on a specific branch of Linux called Debian testing. Now, I think for a lot of people listening, the word testing just implies it hasn't been quality checked yet, like a beta version.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. But in the Linux ecosystem, it actually refers to the release mechanism.
Right.
Operating systems handle updates very differently. A stable release, which is what businesses use, locks in the core software versions. For years at a time, the only updates you receive are critical security patches.
So the environment is entirely predictable.
Exactly. If a piece of software works on a Tuesday, it is guaranteed to work on a Friday.
Okay.
Debian testing, on the other hand, is what's known as a semi-rolling release.
Meaning the underlying foundation is constantly shifting.
Constantly. It is the staging ground for new features, new kernel versions, new software libraries. It receives a continuous stream of fundamental changes.
Now, if I am a tech enthusiast who loves playing with new features on a Sunday afternoon, a rolling release sounds amazing.
It's thrilling for a tinkerer.
Right.
But let's look at this through the digital prism of a VA business.
Okay.
The architect explicitly states that VAs require undistracted workflows to meet client deadlines.
Yes, of course.
So imagine a VA is racing to finish a critical summary for a client by 5:00 p.m. That morning, a routine background update pulls down a new kernel version from the testing branch.
Uh-oh.
But the driver for the laptop's Wi-Fi card hasn't been updated to match that new kernel yet.
So the VA reboots, and suddenly the laptop has no internet connection.
None.
Wow. The tray table didn't collapse, but the entire desk just fell through the floor.
Exactly. The client deadline is missed, the VA is panicking, and all because of a random OS update.
You simply cannot build a business on a shifting tectonic plate.
You can't. And there's an even bigger auditing red flag here.
What's that?
Shadowfetch is a young niche project. It is essentially maintained by a solo developer.
Wow, just one person. Which is incredible from a community perspective, but terrifying from a business perspective.
Absolutely terrifying.
You are betting your company's client deliverables on whether one indie developer gets sick or gets busy at their day job or just gets bored and abandons the project entirely.
Right.
I mean, it's like hiring a brilliant but highly unpredictable indie artist to pour the concrete foundation of your office building. Beautiful idea. Terrible for structural integrity.
You need a foundation that requires zero thought. It needs to be invisible.
So we are trapped in a fascinating dilemma here.
We really are.
We want the zero subscription, local AI,
Right.
finally have the 16 gigabit hardware to run it, But we absolutely cannot afford the systemic instability of the niche operating system that houses the AI wizard.
Right.
We want the fruit, but the tree it grows on is structurally unsound. So how do we extract one from the other?
This is where we uncover the ultimate legacy code from this Gurukul session.
Let's hear it.
The strategic breakthrough isn't finding a better niche Linux distribution. The breakthrough is a concept called decoupling.
Decoupling.
Yes. You have to intellectually separate the local AI tool from the operating system foundation.
Ah, I see where this is going. The magic of Shadowfetch, that AI sommelier wizard, isn't actually unique to the Shadowfetch operating system at all, is it?
Not at all. Shadowfetch is just a bundle.
Okay.
It's an unstable base operating system bundled with some AI software wrapped in a user-friendly installer. But you don't need the unstable base to run the software. You can decouple them.
So what does that architectural blueprint look like for these refurbished 16 gigamy machines? What's the step-by-step?
Step 1 is securing the foundation. You ignore the testing branches and niche projects entirely. You install a mature, enterprise-grade base layer.
Like what?
Something like Debian Stable or Ubuntu LTS.
LTS standing for long-term support, right?
Exactly. These are the operating systems that literally run the internet servers. They're backed by massive global communities or major corporations.
So it's safe.
Very. When you install an LTS release, the core architecture is frozen and supported with security patches for 5, sometimes up to 10 years. There are no surprise feature updates. It is the boring concrete.
Okay, so the foundation is immovable. But how do we get our free AI intern back without the fancy Shadowfetch wizard?
This is step 2, the application layer. Once the boring foundation is poured, your IT admin simply installs a dedicated standalone local AI platform on top of it.
Okay, like a separate app.
Yes. We are talking about highly refined applications like Ollama or LM Studio.
And explain how these operate differently than a deeply integrated OS feature.
They act more like containers. When you run LM Studio, it downloads those compressed AI models and executes them within its own isolated software environment.
So it's walled off.
Exactly. It utilizes your system's RAM and CPU, sure, but it doesn't hook into the core logic of your operating system. If the AI application crashes, you just restart the application.
Your Wi-Fi doesn't drop.
Right.
Your desktop doesn't freeze. You have surgically removed the risk.
You get the exact same cost-saving benefits. You get the offline privacy, but you are running it on a foundation that will not shift underneath you.
I actually want to look at this from the perspective of the VA, the person actually doing the work day in and day out.
That's the most important part, really.
Because we have been deep in the architectural weeds. They're talking about kernels and LTS releases and decoupling.
Right.
But when a VA sits down at their newly refurbished 16 gigabit laptop with this decoupled architecture, what do they experience?
They experience absolute simplicity, and that is the hallmark of brilliant engineering. From their perspective, the complexity is entirely invisible.
They never open a terminal.
Never.
They never have to understand what a quantized parameter is. They just boot up a fast, predictable desktop. They'll click an icon that says local AI assistant or whatever LM Studio is renamed to.
Yep. A clean chat window opens up and they ask it to summarize their notes. It just works every single day exactly the same way.
It delivers perfectly on Murty's mandate for an undistracted workflow. You provide the worker with a powerful modern tool, but you enclose it in an environment that is deeply supportive of their focus.
The infrastructure gets out of their way.
Which really is the essence of a true Gurukul 2.0 environment. It's not just about giving the student or the employee the flashiest tool.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space where learning and execution are protected from unnecessary chaos.
It's a masterclass in digital migration, truly. Amateurs migrate to new tools. Professionals migrate to sustainable architectures.
I love that. Amateurs migrate to tools, professionals migrate to architectures. Let's pull all of this together and summarize the legacy code we've extracted from Project Antaryami today.
Let's do it.
We started with the allure of cutting-edge innovation, local AI saving thousands of dollars in cloud fees. But we learned that software ambition absolutely cannot defy physical reality.
You can't put a feast on a tray table.
Exactly. You have to deploy lightweight survival tools for older machines while planning for the future. And most crucially, when that future hardware arrives, you don't adopt a fragile ecosystem just to access one shiny feature.
Right.
True architectural wisdom is decoupling the application from the foundation. You pour the boring enterprise-grade concrete first, and then you build your cutting-edge tools on top of it. That is how you get both innovation and business continuity.
You protect the foundation, and you liberate the tool. That is a principle that applies far beyond just Linux distributions.
It really does. And that is where I want to leave things today, by turning this back to you, listening to this stroll. Look through the digital prism at your own workflow, your own business, or even just your personal tech setup. Are you chasing shiny, all-in-one tools that seem magical but secretly lock you into fragile, unpredictable ecosystems?
It's a trap a lot of people fall into.
Are you relying on an indie artist to pour the concrete for your daily operations? Or are you taking the time to decouple your tools from your foundation, ensuring that the ground beneath you is so stable that you can confidently swap out the applications on top as the technology inevitably evolves?
It's the difference between building a tent and building an institution.
A brilliant way to frame it. Keep that question in mind as you look at the tools you use every day. Thank you for joining us for this Gurukul session. Until our next digital stroll, keep your foundation strong and your workflows undistracted. Be well.